Welcome, welcome, welcome. As you can see, I am here with the legendary coach, Coach Paul Hatcher, Hall of Fame coach here in the state of Virginia. My name is Todd Dunnings, and I'm with Valley Boys Project in conjunction with Nichols and Dimes Ministry. And we're going to have a conversation with Coach Hatcher today. Coach Hatcher, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good to see you. You're looking well. You can still coach a little, can't you?
I can't stomp anymore, Todd. So I've gotten too old to stomp.
I know you did a lot of that in your years.
And I think that's why I have leg problems now.
How many years did you coach in this area?
43 at Lee.
43 years at Robert E. Lee.
Mm-hmm.
That's
when
awesome.
I first got here, I didn't have any coaching, and I formed a team at Shelburne. And the next year they moved me to JV, and then the next year they moved me to the varsity. But then I stayed after I retired from teaching. I stayed on 2 more years coaching, and so it turned out that it was 43 years both ways.
Yes.
Teaching and it's been. I'll tell this story. They said they wanted me to stay and they'd give me a raise. I said, well, that's great, honey. I made $5,000, 43 years, 45. And I look at them salaries now and people make, and I said, anyway. So I said, great. They moved me up to, I think, about 7,000. Ooh, I mean, that was a big raise.
Yes.
The next year they said, you're the only one got a raise. We're going to have to take it back. I said, well, I was the only one that y'all were honoring. You wanted me to stay, but they took my money back, so I ended up with my 5,000 again.
But you love the game.
I love the game.
You did it anyway.
Did it anyway. Didn't worry about the money, and so that was good.
So all of the years that you were stomping on the sideline, I know that you had some opponents that you hate to go see and play against. Mm-hmm. Can you name me one or two? Who were those?
Well, I think Harrisonburg, we had more, that was a bigger rivalry than Harrisonburg and Waynesboro. But Harrisonburg was Ralph and Big Mike Madden, was battling him, and of course trying to guard Pee Wee Barber, which I think he was as hard as anybody we played to guard. He could just do everything. And
right.
So Coach Berge always had a good team, and so that was probably the toughest year in and year out.
Right.
Harrisonburg.
Right. They drew big crowds in this area too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we one time we went to Harrisonburg, and we coming through the parking lot on the bus. We were going to go around behind the building where we parked the bus, and we had to go through the line. The line was all way out in the parking lot, to play.
Right.
See, we drew big crowds because Harrisonburg didn't lose to anybody else but us when Ralph was there.
Right.
And so college coaches would come to that game because they would see competition. They didn't want to come and all of a sudden it's a 50-point blowout.
Right.
So I remember one time I went to Broadway, the old school at Broadway, to scout a game. And I'd seen Ralph many times, but we were off that night, so I went down there and I thought, well, I might learn something. And I was standing room only in the corner. And I'm standing there, and I looked to my right, and there's Joe B. Hall, coach from Kentucky.
Kentucky, yes.
And I was just laughing to myself. I hear the guy from Kentucky. He's standing in the corner in Broadway, Virginia, But I found out who was important. They found him a seat. They left me standing in the corner.
You knew your place. Hey, Joe B. Hall, that was a great legendary coach at Kentucky.
He passed away not long ago. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
National championship at Kentucky. But it was that kind of thing. You had coaches from everywhere would come because we could give them a game. We played Ralph 13 times during his 4 years.
Wow.
We won 6 and they won 7.
Wow.
and
Wow.
nobody else beat
Right.
them.
Yeah. So you all were their headache.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's good. That's good competition.
Oh,
And that
yeah.
was good for the area.
Oh, yeah, boy, that was exciting. I mean, that was the thing with some of the great players that we had in the area. That basketball fans, I mean, that was a treat.
Right.
I mean, we got guys playing in the valley that are as good as anywhere in the nation.
Exactly.
You know, and
Exactly.
people come to see them, and of course you started Woodstock and the Lambiots,
That's right.
Walker and Kenny, and they both went on and played in college, and all the way down through. And Waynesboro had some guys, Corey Alexander, and
Yes, sir.
that was good. And
You know, with Dale Curry being right down the road at Fort Defiance, I'm surprised that you guys didn't play each other at least once or twice.
no, we didn't. No, we didn't. They weren't really interested in playing at that time. And
That would have been a tough opponent right there.
oh yeah,
I would have
and
loved
it's
to see
right,
that.
and it's close, you know.
Yes,
and we
sir.
had to go out in different places, which I didn't mind going because of the recognition for the players. But still, you know, that would have filled the gym.
Right, right. So, Coach Hatcher, state championships. How many do you have?
We won 4 and were runner up 5 times.
That's impressive.
And we got beat 3 of those 5 on the last second shots.
Don't remind me. I was part of 2 of those, I believe.
Yeah. So I was very fortunate. We went to the state tournament 16 times, and we went to the final 4 14 times. We only got beat twice in the first round.
You see, that's the reason why you are in the Hall of Fame. Right there. Right there. With all the players that you had coming through. You know, there was a player that I lived around the corner from named George Panell.
Yeah.
I heard he was a great player.
Great player, great jumper, about 6'1", 6'2". George had an afro back then, but it was crooked. It sat on the side of his head. But he could play, and we were in AAA in Roanoke.
Right.
And he was picked the All-Times Land team, which was big back then. The Roanoke Times covered most of the state, and they picked the All-Times Land team, and
Right.
12 guys, and George was picked for that. And then he went to South Plains Junior College in Levelland, Texas.
Okay.
And we put him on a plane, and he had not seen it, and I hadn't seen it, and so he got down there and did real well, and signed with New Mexico State. And then it was that year they picked around 72 or so, 73 maybe. They opened up relationships with China,
Mm-hmm.
and the United States sent a lot of different teams in down. They sent a basketball team, 12 guys now, and George was one of them picked.
Wow. 12 guys from the United States going over to China.
And George was one of them picked, and so that was a great honor. And a lot of people, George was not flashy or anything like that. His play was flashy, but I mean, you know, he didn't get the recognition and things all the time that people that he should have got. But he was a great player.
Right.
So we had on that state championship or state runner-up team, Mark Dillon, who went to Virginia, George, New Mexico State. We had Donnie Darkus, who went to Middle Tennessee. So we had three pretty good. And then the guards, Mouse Patterson had a chance to go to Mount Union. He didn't go, but so that was a pretty good team.
That team right there sounds like it might have been one of your top 5 teams. If you had to rank them, it sounds like they were.
Yeah.
They were a good team.
And as I told you before, that going down there and playing, it was like a state tournament. I mean, there was some of the 14 teams from
down in Roanoke Valley.
Roanoke Valley
Yes,
and
sir.
things. So playing there, and so we've had a lot of good experiences.
Right. Well, you know, we're putting this top 10 together. Darrell Crawford and myself, we are trying to come up with the top 10 all Shenandoah Valley boys basketball players. Players that have played in high school in this area, from this area, and went on to go to college or even professionally. And we have a task at hand. And I know with your advice, you could help us greatly, but I'm not going to put you on that spot, Coach. But I do want you to name a few players who were outstanding in this area. Not to say these are the top 10, but just some outstanding players, such as, you had Big Mike and Popsicle and Andrew Ratliff down in Waynesboro, and Pee Wee and Ralph over in Harrisonburg and the Lambiots. Can you name us a few more names that you ran across that were pretty good?
Well, you've named some of them, really most of them. That when yeah, but the teams like with uh, we had players of the year. We had 10 guys. I mean, we had 8 guys make player of the year in the state, and a couple of them twice.
Right.
Kevin Madden and Eli Crawford. So we wouldn't have to go far to pick my favorite team. I think I could pick. I could put 5 out there that could compete against most people around.
On your own, just that Lehigh itself.
Just that Lehigh stuff.
That's
so,
right. That's right.
But,
That's right. Well, name those players of the years that were at Lehigh.
yeah, Kevin was Mr. Basketball. Kevin Madden for 2 years in a row. He and Alonzo Mourning were the only players ever to be picked 2 years in a row. Mark Newland.
Okay.
He was. They picked a Dixie dozen back then. 12 teams. Each state had a player in 12 states, and Mark was picked from Virginia.
Wow.
That's pretty fancy.
Yes,
Reggie Waddy was player of the year.
Reggie Waddy.
Eli Crawford twice.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Rogers was the Gatorade player of the year. And that's, the all classifications and everything.
Right.
And my son Jarrett took over for me, and he had Darius George at Marshall, and Jarvis Bone. Jarvis is still at Monmouth in New Jersey.
Okay.
He's still playing,
Okay.
and then Darius is going to go. He went from Marshall. He's going to go to overseas and play professionally.
Yes,
so,
that's huge.
So that's a pretty good group of people right there.
It is. Well, on our panel we got Tyler Crawford. He was a co-player of the year.
Yeah, I left Tyler
in the state of Virginia as well. So he'll be one of the ones helping us try to pick
good.
A top 10. So it's gonna be difficult, and I know you do not want this task, Coach.
No, I would be. I don't want to make any of my players mad at me. I thought the world of all of them.
That's fair.
They all made me look good. So
that's fair.
I can't decide. I mean, I don't have to tell anybody. I can decide, but I'm not telling anybody what I think. But
right.
I was very fortunate. We had a lot of outstanding players such as yourself. That and you went on to Vincennes Junior College and
yes,
and made a Junior College All-American, and you set a record for what, 3-point?
3-pointers. That was the first time they had a 3-pointer. I've seen a 3-pointer when I got to college.
Yeah.
Yes. So set a record out there, and then I transferred back to JMU.
Yeah. So you did well. And, I just been very fortunate. Very fortunate.
That's good.
The guys bought into what I was selling.
Right. It must have been something good. Must have been something good. So your wins, how many wins have you had in your career?
897 and 174 losses.
Remarkable.
Somebody said, "Well, why didn't you go for 900?" And I said, "Well, I had 174 chances to get 3, and I didn't do it. So I'm not going to try to stay around and do that."
Get 3 more, huh?
Yeah.
Well, Coach Hatcher, thank you so much for welcoming us into your home, and it was a pleasure sitting down with you and talking to you just about old stories. Is there anything you'd like to share with anybody before we go out?
No, like I say, I think it's a good idea what y'all are doing. It brings back a lot of memories, and I've enjoyed reminiscing with you.
Yes, sir. It's been fun.
The different guys and so forth. But
been fun. Well, that's great. I'm glad that you were able to sit down with us and give us who you thought were great players in this area without giving us a top 10.
Yeah. Well, you named most of them already, So, but I enjoyed it, and I was very fortunate to
Good.
have the opportunity.
Well, Coach Hatcher, thank you again. I'm Todd Dunnings again with Valley Boys Project in conjunction with Nickels and Dimes. And don't forget, we have the podcast September the 9th at 7 o'clock at the Stanton Hub. Also, meet and greet is at 5:30 p.m. on September the 9th. Come on down to the Clock Tower. We'll have some wings and we'll shoot some stories around and we'll have a lot of fun. We look forward to seeing you. Again, Coach Hatcher, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Todd.
You're welcome. Amen.